formerly Kanye West.
Right.
The guy just always seems to make headlines no matter what he does.
Yeah. And this time it's, well, it's pretty interesting how it's all unfolding. You know, it's this whole thing with his gospel choir happening, right, as all these divorce rumors are swirling around him.
That's what's so fascinating about this, right? We have this article here, and it's like laying out everything that's going on.
Okay.
And it's like our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We want to really understand what's happening with this choir, what's the story behind it all, and like what are the key takeaways for everyone listening.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's dive in, okay? The headline is already grabbing our attention, right?
Yeah.
It says, Kanye West returns with another controversial move amid divorce rumors. And like right from the start, they're calling this a daring move and even questioning like his current mental health status.
Oh, wow. They're not holding back.
No, they're not. It's a pretty strong statement to make right out of the gate.
Yeah, it is. They're definitely framing this whole thing within like a narrative of controversy, you know?
Totally.
But then after that kind of strong opening, they get into the actual announcement, which is that Yell's bringing back his Sunday service gospel choir.
Oh yeah, the thing from like 2019 or something, right?
Right. The article reminds us that it started back then.
Okay, got it. And here's where it gets super interesting, okay? It's the requirement for the male choir members.
Oh, yeah. What's the deal with that?
So get this right. His Instagram post says that any male who wants to be in the choir has to be at least 5 years old.
5, that young.
Yep, 5 or older. And get this, they must shave their heads.
What? Really? That's a requirement.
To be in the choir, yes. But the article does point out something really important from his post.
What's that?
It says, shaved heads are not required to audition.
Oh, so it's like if you get in, you got to shave your head.
Exactly. It's
That-
not to try out just if you make the cut.
That's a pretty interesting distinction.
Right. It makes you think like, is it an aesthetic thing?
Yeah.
Or maybe like a symbolic thing that he wants for this version of the choir.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the reasoning behind that choice, and also the fact that it's open to such a wide age range, too.
I know, right? From 5 years old and up, that could be like a super diverse group of people.
Yeah, all united by their shaved heads.
Exactly. And they even give you the details on how to audition, right? Open auditions are happening today.
Today?
Yeah, Thursday, March 13th at 4 p.m. in LA.
Oh, wow, that's pretty short notice.
I know, right? But here's the thing, the exact location isn't public until you RSVP.
So it's like an exclusive thing.
Okay, so let's like zoom out for a second, talk about the background of this whole gospel choir thing.
Yeah, that's important context.
So like the article reminds us that when it first started back in 2019, it was set up as a non-profit organization. And remember what their whole mission was? It was
Yeah.
like all about making a positive impact through music.
Oh, yeah, and helping with education charity and supporting the community.
Right. It sounded really admirable, like a truly positive goal.
Yeah, it did. Now here's where things get a little more complicated.
Oh boy, what now?
The article brings up the IRS.
The IRS, what do they have to do with a gospel choir?
Well, according to them, the nonprofit actually lost its tax-exempt status.
What? Really?
Yeah, back in May of last year, 2024.
So like, why did that happen?
The IRS says it's because they didn't file the required paperwork for like 3 years in a row.
Oh wow, so it's like an administrative thing?
Exactly. And that raises some serious questions about how the organization was being run. You
Yeah.
know, like, did they prioritize the artistic side over the administrative stuff?
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
And losing that tax-exempt status has to have some pretty big implications for a nonprofit, right?
Absolutely. Especially when it comes to donations. It means that any contributions people make might not be tax deductible anymore.
Okay, so that's a big deal. So we've talked about the choir and the IRS thing. Now let's get to the other big part of this headline.
You mean the divorce rumors?
Exactly. It says divorce rumors heating up. And it's like right there next to the choir announcement, which makes me think it's a big reason why this whole thing is getting so much attention.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're connecting those two things, you know? Like framing this choir announcement within the context of all this personal drama.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's like a classic move in entertainment news, right? Like blurring the lines between the celebrity's personal and professional life.
For sure. But the article itself doesn't really give us any details about the divorce rumors themselves.
True. Just that they're heating up.
Right, so we're left to speculate a bit there.
Okay, so before we move on, I want to give you listening a quick snapshot of what else is happening in the entertainment world right now.
Okay, sounds good.
This article kind of touches on a bunch of other headlines, so even though we won't dive into them, it's good to know what else is out there. So we have Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce doing something with a podcast. Amanda Seyfried's got a new role. There's some stuff about Chloe Madeley and even Holly Willoughby's hair routine.
Hair routine?
Yeah, apparently it's news.
No.
And then there's Hailey Bieber taking a solo trip, which has sparked some Meryl Woes speculations.
Oh, boy.
And get this, there's even a One Direction member announcing a new album.
Wow, after all these years.
I know, right? But the thing is, this was after Liam Payne passed away last October.
Oh, wow, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, so it's just interesting to see all this stuff happening alongside this Yee news, you know?
Totally. It shows you the constant churn of the entertainment news cycle.
Exactly. Okay, and before we wrap this up, we really need to emphasize that we're just reporting on what this article is saying.
Right, we're analyzing the news as it's being presented.
Exactly. We're not endorsing any personal opinions or actions of anyone involved.
It's crucial for listeners to understand that.
Yes, our focus is purely on breaking down the components of this specific story.
Absolutely. Okay, so to sum up everything for everyone listening,
Yee, formerly known as Kanye West, is relaunching his Sunday service gospel choir.
and there's this really specific requirement that all male members have to shave their heads if they get selected.
But not to audition, though.
Right. And this is all happening while these divorce rumors are swirling around.
And remember the nonprofit behind the choir? Well, they lost their tax-exempt status last year because they didn't file the right paperwork.
For 3 years in a row.
And it's a whole thing.
And, when you take a step back and look at this situation, it really highlights how complex things can get.
Yeah, totally.
You have creative expression colliding with the logistics of running an organization. And then you add in the intense scrutiny that public figures face in both their personal and professional lives.
It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. What does this whole situation tell us about the challenges of managing a public image and a charitable endeavor at the same time?
Right. How do creative decisions, personal circumstances, and administrative responsibilities all intersect, especially when you're constantly in the spotlight?
It's definitely something to think about.
For sure. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.